Now, finally this week, the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, NIHSA, urged communities along the rivers Benue and Niger to relocate to higher ground. This warning came as a result of significant rise in water levels due to continuous rainfall, which may lead to potential flooding of the communities. The Director General of NIHSA, Umar Mohammed, called for full cooperation with emergency response agencies and advised citizens to move to safer areas to avoid the harmful impact of the floods as the rainfall continues. Of course, I still have my gentlemen in the studio with me. Justice, quickly, I'll hold you up to this. Now, a warning from the Director General of the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, Umar Mohammed, urging residents living along the rivers Benue Basin to relocate immediately with concerns of rising water levels. Now, how timely is this, especially with the state of the economy?
When you tie it to the state of the economy, I don't even... You just stunned me. but as for how timely it is, it's a very, very good one.
Okay.
To be forewarned, we say is to be forearmed.
Absolutely.
It is for them now to recalibrate how economically it's going to impact them. So rather than lose life and limb, they should maybe take the humble pie and maybe relocate to some other places where, economically it may be harder, but it's better for them to actually be safe and alive, because it is when you are safe and alive that you can see another day and have another opportunity. Yeah,
Nelson, you would agree that the way I asked that question, there was a reason for that. Because
Absolutely.
when you're asking people to migrate and live where they presently stay because a flood is coming. Now, according to the DG, he has called for cooperation from Nigerians, particularly in those flood-prone areas, urging them to work closely with emergency management agencies. Now, how effective do you think this plan will be in this current circumstance? Because right now, people are barely surviving, and you are telling them to move from where they are to some other place because flood is coming. Sometimes people will tell you, for now, I want to eat, I want to feel my tummy. I'm not interested in whatever flood that is coming for now. Yeah.
It is only the man or woman who is alive
that can
feed. The man who is dead, there's nothing like feeding for him. And sadly for us, we are a very wonderful people. At the beginning of this year, the national the limits, warned that this is what will happen this year. But we are people that a lot of things we take for granted. We saw it happen in Maduguri, Borno State. We have seen it happen in some other states, even in Plateau State, in Benue State. So we don't need to be told. As human beings, we have this maxim that self-preservation is the first law of nature.
Okay.
So people on their own must be ready to move, and we know it's not easy. We know the times are hard, but it is only somebody who is alive that can have another opportunity when the times change, because like the title of a book, tough times don't last.
Okay.
People do.
No, I totally agree with what you've said so far, but here is it. We are not a country that is so bedeviled with disasters of this magnitude. Then why is it that when they start coming in pockets, we can't find a level of solution to actually stem it? We are still scared, we are still indecisive, we still feel a bit handicapped in trying to handle the situation, even when we know that this is not a disaster-prone country.
Well, I think some of these problems are man-made. Some of the people who have built houses along those lines,
corridors,
should never have been allowed to do that. But you know, people become...
It's a function of the system collapse as well.
Yes, it's a function. That's why I said are man-made. As I sit down here, I remember at a point in time when I was thinking about how can I provide my own shelter. And somebody told me that there's a piece of land somewhere. And lo and behold, when he took me to the land, it was at the edge of a canal. So I said, this is dangerous to human existence, because flooding or rainfall, heavy rainfall will not announce to you.
That is
you
coming.
could be sleeping with your wife and your children, and you are swept away.
Yes.
And the next morning, it's obituary you are seeing.
Yeah.
So I think people must take very they must place very high premium on their lives, because they own their lives and not government. Because whatever happens, whoever is gone. Nobody can retrieve that life back. So as much as we know that these are things that happen repeatedly, because a lot of us were even, okay, for example, you see residential buildings come down. Why? Agencies of state have marked these buildings as defective. Don't stay there. I know of areas where buildings that have been marked, that have been sealed up, in the night, people will crawl in to go and sleep. So are you telling us that the officials of that agency should not go to their home at the end of the close of work and go and sleep in one particular? So people must place premium on their life. That's the only way to stay alive.
Now, just as quickly, now this whole idea is to minimize the devastating impacts and losses caused by such disasters. Now, how can the people understand the gravity of what is coming? Because some would rather sit it out, especially if they don't have anywhere to go.
Okay, for me, yeah, the especially part, we must also remember that it's also not peculiar to Nigeria, because even in the US, we have situations where they are equivalent yeah, they tell them every time that it's time to leave this particular
even the one that happened in Florida.
Yeah, in Florida, yes, some people refused.
Yeah, some people
they refused, especially
and I think
the ones that
they also didn't have where to go to.
Not necessarily. In fact, their refusal was to the point of the federal government was even offering help. But they brought out their guns and were threatening federal government officials because they heard some conspiracy theory that if you collect any form of help from the government, they will come to take your land, your house, when the flood eventually recedes. Yeah. So that is why, as much as possible, just like we have talked about the National Orientation Agency, they must be mainstreamed. Because it is when they are mainstreamed that they will get proper and correct information from the government that will always make them take the right decisions. All
right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It's been a very, very fantastic, eye-opening session with you both today. Nelson Kuyimi, thank you for coming on the show. Political analyst. Of course, Justice General, legal practitioner. I appreciate your presence as well. All right. And that's our show for today. Remember, you can follow the conversation on our social media platforms at TVC News NG or on our website at tvcnews.tv. I am Marco Tabo. Until next week, goodbye.